Greetings fellow dwarfers, Lister's guitar is a polymorph? Okay, the theories are getting a little bit strange today, but bear with me, we should have fun with this. Now looking at Lister's guitar over the years, it's abundantly clear to even the least observant that there have been rather a few changes. By my count, there's at least 6 different guitar models shown throughout the show's run. His acoustic, a Red Explorer type, the Les Paul copy, what looks like a Telecaster, a Strat, and, in the Promised Land, a flat-topped, matte-finished Les Paul Special, with the most obvious switch being from an acoustic to an electric guitar from Season 3 onwards. Now, while in the real world this was no doubt merely a stylistic change that went along with Lister's cool, leather-jacketed, more rock and roll costume from Season 3, there's never been an in-universe explanation given as to why the guitars changed. Even the Red Dwarf tongue-tied wiki page just speculates that Lister must have owned multiple guitars but never displayed more than one at a time. However, I don't think that explanation works for a few reasons. Firstly, everyone's language about Dave's guitar, including Dave's own language, is always singular. He was going to snap my guitar in half. Your guitar. It's always guitar, never guitars. Another reason I'm not convinced that Lister has multiple guitars was that Lister showed too much care and devotion for just one at a time. Marooned is the most obvious example of this, with Lister going to comical extreme lengths to preserve his guitar and talked about playing that guitar as his one key escape from the monotony of space travel. Sure, that particular guitar might have sentimental value, but would he have spoken like this if he had half a dozen other guitars to use back on Red Dwarf? I kinda doubt it. And lastly, Lister's dad, well, himself, flushed his beloved Les Paul out of Red Dwarf's airlock in Fathers and Sons. Dave rescues it a few episodes later in Siliconia, and during its recovery, we're shown that Lister's been making do with a Van Halen-inspired colander. Not something you'd bother creating and using if you had multiple other real guitars to use. So I'm just not convinced Dave has multiple guitars. I think they're all the same guitar masquerading as one. But how can that be? How can an object change shape seemingly at will? Well, there is a creature within the Red Dwarf universe that does exactly that. I think Lister's guitar is a polymorph. Now, before you all start unsubscribing and giving me hate in the comments below, let me present my case. First up, let's jump to Season 6, Episode 1, Sirens, where Crichton and the cat open fire on a siren holding Lister's guitar. Despite the barrage of close-range laser fire, smoke, sparks and a hard drop on the floor, the guitar is picked up unscathed and instantly played. Now, I severely doubt the average Les Paul, let alone an authentic copy, could really withstand gunfire, but a polymorph on the other hand, well, that's a different matter. In Emo Hawk Polymorph 2, we get a humorous scene of the cat smashing Lister's guitar. Now, it's not the smashing that intrigues me, as I'm sure Crichton could easily manage to reassemble any guitar. It's the guitar model that's interesting. That's not a Les Paul. With a scratch plate and a pale neck, it looks more like a Telecaster to me. And this seems logical to me. If you're an emotion-sensing alien who can tell that danger is coming and can sense the anger in the cat about to smash you, then why not switch yourself to a different type of guitar that easily falls apart to make sure you only get banged against a crate once, rather than beaten multiple times over until you fall apart. Just look at Billy Joe Armstrong let loose on a Gibson type guitar. Would you want to be beaten that many times? As for all the other guitar changes throughout the seasons, I could see this just being the polymorph adapting to fit with Lister's changing moods and whims over the years, so that he keeps his guitar always close at hand. So if all these axes are one and the same polymorph illusion, what's this emotion-sucking vampire using for food? Well, how about Lister's talent? But Red Dwarf nerd, Lister doesn't have any talent, he sucks at guitar. True, but is that because Dave really is completely talentless as a player? Or because every seed of talent within him is being drained by the very instrument he's hoping to express himself with? Think about it. Alone in space for 30 years with very little to pass the time? Is it really conceivable that he couldn't learn at least a few basic chords and a few scales in that time? Well, until recently, we'd no way of knowing, as Lister only ever played his own guitar. But in 2017's Cured, we finally got our first proper look at what Lister is capable of when freed of his beloved, but perhaps talent-consuming polymorph Les Paul. To jam along with the robot approximation of Hitler, Dave is forced to play a borrowed guitar and actually plays pretty well. Okay, it's not got Steve Vai worried, but hey, it's in tune, it's in time, and nobody is wishing they were deaf. It's a long way from the one chord in the Indling song. As for where the polymorph could have come from, well, that's easy. At the end of the season 3 episode Polymorph, we got a cheeky little tease that there were in fact 2 polymorphs on board, not just one. The remastered Blu-rays tried to give some daft explanation about the second one living in Dave's sock drawer, but the remastered episodes are about as well loved and accepted as Rimmer in a Bad Mood. So I think the second polymorph becoming Dave's guitar is a far more welcome explanation. And yes, I know Lister's guitar has changed twice already before the episode Polymorph, but who's to say the second polymorph wasn't already aboard Red Dwarf long before the one we see prominently in the episode? So there you go. Okay, this theory really is just a bit of fun and shouldn't be taken too seriously, but hey, it kind of gets your thoughts going, it kind of sparks your imagination, and it's a bit daft and it's fun, and I enjoyed making this episode, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you did enjoy, I'd love it if you could give us a thumbs up. If you've got a better explanation for the change of guitars, stick it in the comments down below, I'd love to read it. And feel free to put anything you want down below, just keep it civil. Guys, if you enjoyed this content, then I'd love it if you could hit the subscribe button, and feel free to check out anything else on my channel. I've got other theories on there that I think you might enjoy. Well, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time, Smegheads.